Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and as you have seen by the title, I am doing a video with an emphasis on my feeding tube. We'll be talking about my story in regards my feeding tube and why it is that I have it, how long have I had it for, and what I use it for. Let me start by talking about how EV affects me internally. So EV is external as well as internal. I think I have made the point nice and clear. That being said, it affects the inside of my mouth, meaning it causes blisters, and then those blisters open up like a wound as if I were to have it on my arm, but it's just on the inside of my mouth. And same thing happens in my esophagus. I just can't see those, but it happens. Over time, what happens is that the blisters in my esophagus, it tends to cause for my esophagus to become really narrow to the point where I can't eat and I choke every time solid foods go down. That's what happened, and that's what my surgery video is about. So if you guys want more like an in-depth I guess video about that, go check that out. Go check that one out. So yeah, so that's how it affects. Having that said, because I always have blisters inside my mouth, because I always have open sores and it's just really painful, I'm not always able to eat. And you guys know that I was born with EB. It's not something that changed my life starting age 3, starting age 10. I was born like this. So gradually, it starts to become I start to get more areas start to become affected, and since I was little, I've always struggled to eat. I don't remember, but my mom always tells me how she always struggled to find like bottles that I could suck on for me to receive like the milk and the formula and all that stuff. So it's always been a struggle. So I've always been underweight. I was never in the charts of the typical kid that has this certain amount of weight, or I because I didn't really eat well, and so I was never considered, my weight was never considered like the typical child. It all goes down in 2007. It's gonna be 12 years this upcoming July. I'm never gonna forget. I have those days very, very vivid in my memory. I believe it's because it was during time where I was a child, and all of a sudden my life changed, and it was just constant medical appointments, hospitalizations, and surgeries, and me not feeling well, and it was really traumatizing. So I remember in 2007, it was on a Sunday, I woke up, I was feeling fine, then I get a Pediasure, and I drink it fine. A couple minutes later, I start to throw up, and so at first it was like, oh, okay, well maybe she has a stomach flu or something, but then the throwing up doesn't stop. We realize that I start to throw up my own saliva, and that I can't pass it down after some hours, because my mom tried to do like home remedies. She didn't know what was going on, and she didn't want to take me to the ER. But then I start to throw up blood, and so then that became a bit, that became very worrisome. So then it was a Sunday, so then we had to go to the ER because my doctors were not on duty that day. I go to the ER of the Children's Hospital here, and after a lot of tests and figuring out what was going on, we find out that my esophagus had, like, I don't want to say shut down, because that's I think I would have been dead, because then how would I have received air? But it was to the point where it was so close I couldn't even swallow my own saliva, so then that's why I was throwing it up. So we find that out So I think like the next day or 2 days after that, I was hospitalized. Well, let me rephrase that. I was hospitalized starting that Sunday. 2 days after, or I don't remember, some days after, I go under the OR because they tried to do a dilation, which was what I got done in October, this past October. They were able to open it up very, very, very little. They said that because it was so closed up, they couldn't get the tubes, the necessary equipment down my esophagus. So they feared that if they pushed and they did it in a forcing way, it would shear my skin, internally, in which that would have caused way more serious problems. So at that point, they talked with my mom. I remember every time they talked with my mom or with my parents, they pulled them out of the room as if I don't want to say stupid, but as if I didn't have any idea of what was going on, which was so not true, because I was obviously feeling ill. I wasn't feeling well. I hadn't eaten. It was bad. But so I don't know. Now that I'm talking about this, I'm starting to remember little things here and there. So they talk with my parents, and they're like, "Look, your child can't eat." At that point, I think I had been hospitalized for a week. I had not eaten anything, nor liquids, no nothing, constant throwing up. I think after the dilation, the throwing up stopped, but I couldn't get anything down. The only thing that was like keeping me hydrated, I guess, that I had IV fluids, and that was pretty much it. A quick disclaimer, I know I'm staring this side. That's because I'm talking about something that I've never talked about before. I feel a bit nervous. So I talk with my parents, and they're like, "Look, your child really can't eat at this point." It's been some days. We tried the dilation. It didn't go successfully like they wanted to. They couldn't open my esophagus completely. So they're like, either you leave your child at her own luck and see how this turns out, or we do a feeding tube, in which that tube is gonna basically be the pathway for her to be more healthier, to be able to eat, to be able to gain all the proteins and nutrients that she needs for her wounds to heal and all that stuff. It was hard because it was this whole new thing that we had no idea about. I had never seen one. We didn't know anyone with the G-tube. At that time, we weren't that involved in the EB community, so I feel like if we would have been, it would have been an easier process because we would have gotten like support, from other EB parents. My mom didn't say yes the right exact moment. She was like, "Yes, do it." She didn't, because it was hard to process. And so I remember they were like, "We give you this option, but you gotta, we gotta do it quick." Because it was bad. Again, I was really underweight. I was skinny, it was just crazy. So I think some days later, she's like, "Okay, let's do it." She's not eating. She can't even, drink any liquids, nothing. So they do the feeding tube. I stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks in total. So throughout the 2 weeks, I got the feeding tube. It was hard to process it. It was hard for all of us because this feeding tube just gave us a whole new routine, a whole new addition to what I already did on the daily. So I go through the surgery. It went fine. I am given, so I have it. I remember at first it was really painful because there's a new hole in your stomach. it's still open and raw and recent. So at first it did hurt, then over time it started to ease down the pain. Now I don't really feel it unless it hurts. Sometimes it does hurt if I haven't eaten in a certain amount of time. Because I was underweight and I still wasn't eating much, they put me on feeds. I'm gonna try and find a picture of what like the machine looks like, of how it would look like, so that way you guys can get an idea as to what I'm talking about. So yeah, so for about 3 years I was connected to this machine in which basically I was getting feedings every, I think, 3 hours or so. This was for me to gain weight and for me to receive the necessary protein and nutrients that I needed for all my wounds to heal, you know. I was also anemic, so I had really bad anemia, and so it just helped with a lot of things. So for about 3 or so years I was connected nonstop. The only time I wasn't connected was when I would like shower, or when I was at school, or when I was in public. I remember they gave me this like backpack in which you could put like the machine inside and then no one can see it, and because they wanted me to be connected during school. And at that time I was never the favorite kid. I was always like kind of left behind because people never wanted to talk to me and all that stuff. So I didn't want to bring anything that bring more attention to my condition. So I always refused. And I think we still have that backpack somewhere. So yeah, so from the moment I got here from school to the next morning I'd have to leave, I was always connected. I'd still, little by little, I guess somehow, I don't know, by some miracle, my esophagus opened up again. I don't know. But little by little I started to eat. I remember I first started with ice cream. And then I had like very soft eggs, and I had like jello, and then little by little I did more of the solid foods. But then all that changed last year. Go watch that video if you haven't. So yeah, so I was connected. Then around middle school, my doctor said, okay, we don't think you have to be connected 24/7 anymore. Now I think it'll be enough if you're just connected during nighttime. So during nighttime, I'd be connected to that machine and I'd be receiving nighttime feeds. So then that was for some time as well. And then during, I think I was right before to start high school, when my weight was really, really good. I was in the, in the weight that the typical 13, 12-year-old would be. So then I kind of maintained that weight. And so we talked with my doctors, and I told them that, look, I'm starting high school now. I'm going to be doing more activities. I won't be at home as much. I said, I feel like as long as I'm eating by mouth, I'll be fine. So then I kind of convinced them, and since then I haven't been on any feeds. I haven't been connected to that machine anymore. It's been amazing because knowing that I've been able to keep my weight just by eating, orally like I used to once upon a time is amazing. Obviously, now I still use my G-tube, my feeding tube, but it's different now because I'm not connected anymore. Now I just use it if I have a sore throat or if my mouth is too bad and raw. We'll do like a formula through the tube. But it's not like I'm connected or anything. We just do it, very easy. I'll be showing you guys how I do it so you guys can get an idea. And then I also just use it for medications now, so it's much, much easier to know that I've been able to keep it up on my own. Has been amazing. So yeah, so that's kind of my backup story on how I got my feeding tube, why it is that I needed it. There's a lot of EB patients, EB adults that have G tubes and that can swear on it that it's changed their life. It's basically what's kept them alive all this time, because there's some kids that really can't eat at all. So a feeding tube is really, it's really helpful for people with chronic conditions, for people with certain illness that affects their eating. I'll be showing you guys how I do my medications. That way you guys can get an idea as to what my G-tube looks like, and how it is that I do it. The 4 medications that I'll be taking this morning. These are usually my morning meds. So starting from left to right, this one is vitamin. This one is a pain med. These two are the same pain med. It's a different type than this one, but also for pain. And then this one is for, the purpose of this one is that it prevents any ulcers or any damage to the organs that all these pain meds that I take may cause over time. I do take these 3 pain meds, but I also take another one that's much stronger orally. So we try to prevent any damage as much as possible. You guys can see it, but this has a black vertical line that has to connect to the feeding tube, in which I will be doing right now. So basically I just open it up, and then I make sure it's connected, it's aligned, you know, each line is aligned. And then I usually don't lock it, but for the sake of this video I will be doing so. And then that's it. I'm ready to be fed. I'm ready to get any medications. I open this with my teeth because I can't do it with my hands. And then this really, so the end of the syringe goes to the port. And then it is ready to be pushed down as long as we unlock it. So now it's unlocked and now we can push it down. If it's locked and you try to push it down, it's gonna come out, which has also happened. I mean, I've had this for 12 years now, so many things have happened where we have learned from, but obviously, you know, accidents happen. Sometimes we're in a rush and, you know, accidents happen, so can't avoid everything. This is actually like a really easy process. It's just the fact that some of these syringes are hard and I don't have a lot of strength in my hands. And also I always have the fear of causing blisters. And I obviously try to avoid that as much as I can. So it's difficult. Sometimes, I mean, this is not what I always take. Sometimes I don't need a certain medication, or sometimes I need something else. So I guess my medication schedule isn't like a firm thing, but this is usually what I take on the morning basis. And that's it in terms of medication. Now you have to basically flush the extension and also insert some water, that way I'm not so dehydrated. I honestly suck at drinking water, so I try to put as much water as I can through my G-tube. A lot of times my family will ask me if I can like taste the medications or I can feel them. I can taste them because I'll burp them. Or sometimes I can taste if it's cold or hot. So whatever it's inserted here, I can most definitely feel it. So putting in water is usually a bit more challenging for me, just because I don't have a good grip on certain things. This goes down through gravity, so it's just, unless something is really like thick formula. For example, if I were to put one of my medications, the pink/orangey one, that's a really thick I guess formula or consistency, and if I were to put that through gravity, it would not go through. I wish it did, that way I didn't have to press down so many times with the syringes, but it doesn't. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I just burped and I can taste everything. So now I'm done with this. That was how I do my medications. Now I'll be taking it off, and yeah. Alright you guys, so that was it for my video. I hope you guys got to learn a little bit more as to how it is that EB affects me, as well as my feeding tube journey and experience. I do want to say that it's different for everyone, despite the illness, despite if they have EB or not. It's not everyone has a Mickey button like I do. Some have what's called a mini, some have it through the nose, so it's really different. It varies on the individual's needs. So yeah, so I just wanted to do this video to share my experience with the people who don't know what it's like. It's funny because I've hidden my feeding tube for so long. I've had so many friends throughout the years, and none of them knew I had a feeding tube. And so to finally openly say it, I have a feeding tube, and this is what has kept me going and kept me healthy for 12 years, is amazing. I think about all the people that like follow me on Instagram that are from high school, middle school, friends that I know from other places, and it's like, who would have thought, right, that I had that under my shirts I'd have a feeding tube. But anyways, yeah, that was it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions in regards to feeding tubes or anything like that, you guys can leave them in the comments. I'll be sure to answer them. And please make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.